All right, Shalom Makim. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha, Kodash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. I'd like to say Shalom to the elect that's teaching His word in all true faith and sincerity. And today, I just want to tie this lesson. The chip will be mandatory. The C-hip, which is the mark of the beast, it's not going to be a suggestion or depending on what region you're in. No, this system that's being set up in the earth, this digital system, it's going to be ultimately mandatory for the people to receive that microchip for you to continue within this society. And you have all the rhetoric and the laws and legislations, the trends. Everything is heading towards a digital system. Even if you got video games, you ain't got to buy the CD no more. You just download it. Cash App, Apple Pay. You know, literally it's a site for that online shopping. Ain't just, you ain't bossed off from just buying clothes and shoes and shit online. You can buy houses and cars and box, and that shit'll come to you. And the Internet of Things. This is where we at this process. And ultimately, it's going to be a mandate that's going to come down. For you to continue, you got to take that thing. So I got an article from Business Today, and it reads, what is universal high income? Why is Musk advocating for it? How will it impact you? Yeah, this nigga Musk, he's a technocrat. This nigga, he's pushing for that universal basic income. Because this nigga, dealing with these machines and AI. And come to find out that shit, as we already know, and shit does more damage than good. Shit drinks all the water, it ruins the environment. Just so a nigga can ask a crazy question on Grok, It says artificial intelligence is reshaping the global economy at an unprecedented speed, threatening jobs that millions depend on. See? And this is going to contribute to these people losing it and protesting, because the machine's taking the jobs. It says, imagine waking up tomorrow and finding money in your bank account from the government. No strings attached. Artificial intelligence is reshaping the global economy at an unprecedented speed, threatening jobs that millions depend on. Sounds too fantastical to be true. Elon Musk don't think so. As AI swallow jobs whole and machines outwork humans at nearly everything, a radical question is emerging. Should simply being alive entitle you to an income? The answer may reshape how you work, spend, and define your own worth. So that's how they're going to push it, for you to kind of ease back, let the machines do the work. But ultimately, we know that this devil is trying to bring another form of captivity. And just going back to the point that ultimately, this is going to be mandatory. Matter of fact, let's get this in a blue letter. In Revelation, the 13th chapter. See how they throwing these things out as suggestions and giving you the so-called pros and cons. And the pros always outweigh the cons. They might say the bad things is, privacy. That's probably the one thing. But everything else, it's convenient, it's fast. You don't got to worry about fraud, whatever the case may be. But that's really a captivity, and ultimately it's got to be mandatory to receive that mark. This is Revelation 13:16, and he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. I'm gonna get this word causal. And you had Mexico, which you got a tiny hat over there calling the shots down now. They cutting cash off, man. It's a certain time limit to where now that they just ain't going to deal with the cash. This the word causal. Let's see. I'm gonna jump down to the point. It says to constitute or appoint one anything, to appoint or ordain one that. So it's gonna be an ordinance. It's gonna be put in paper and signed. It's gonna go through legislation. Hell, it's even now in a sense where they taking, should you chip employers? They taking that shit to court. And even though it's being shot down, it's just them even. Why is they even at that point? That show you where we at. It's gonna get to a point where it's gonna get passed. To whether whatever you can be at McDonald's, you still gotta get a chip. Cause these devils trying to leave no stone unturned. You able to do a side job. You know what I mean? You get it in cash. Hell, even Cash App nowadays. That shit ain't being taxed. That they don't know the source, and they ain't getting their piece from it. So this nigga trying to cut all that out, cause he's trying to have everything go through him. But as you can see, it say he calls of all, and that word for cause of one of the definitions, order or ordain. So ordinance. That's why they had the toss of the digital ID. As well as, how these devils going to do that. Crack down on the anti-sim and the certain talking points that's against them. This is going to contribute to all that, man. So going back, Revelation 13:16, he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So you ain't gonna be able to continue in this system without it. And of course they're gonna have you get so many credits a month. How these devils, they are cunning hunter. If you get it within this week, you get so many 3,000 extra credits, and your license can get renewed or whatever. You know what I mean? These incentives to lure you in, but that's going to be a requirement to continue within this system. You got to have that mark, which is the microchip. And these things is happening, I mentioned the rhetoric and the laws and legislation and talking points is heading to that moment. Let's get this in the book of Daniel 3. Because as the scriptures say, the things that were written aforetime ran for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So the things that were written back then, the actual events that took place, but also it was prophetic, because these events was going to be reincarnated. It was going to replay out in the planet Earth on a bigger scale. For an example, the scriptures talk about how Sodom was an example to to those that after should live ungodly, show you that it was going to be a bigger version of Sodom on display, and that's America, Egypt as well. So this is Daniel 3. Daniel 3 and 3. And this is concerning the ancient Babylonian Empire. But guess what? This today, we seeing this same thing playing out and today in Babylon the Great. Daniel 3 and 3. Then the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And we see that today as well. You know, this beast system. And in a sense, even the the enemies of America. One thing they all agree on is a digital system, a CBDC. Despite the differences and things that they disagree with, they all on one accord concerning a digital system, a digital society, a central bank digital currency. So that's that image today. That these people going to bow to, and that bowing is going to be in the form of them actually sticking their hand out and taking it. That's going to submit your allegiance to this devil. It says, then an herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages. See, just going back to as well, as I mentioned earlier in the spirit, concerned that, this is not just a regional thing. This is going to be a global, the new world order. So from dot heads to gooks to Hamites, that system, because the devil got fingerprints everywhere. This is going to be that shift to that new world these devils is expecting. It is commanded. It says that at what time ye heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall be the same hour cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. So as you can see, it's a decree. It was a decree back then when you hear that music to start bowing to the image. Now the music is gonna be when you hear goddamn CNN first cut on. These news stations, and they tell you that this is what you got to do now. Article, you get that bell, you get an update that, hey, now you got to go take that chip to continue in this system. And for those who don't, those that refuse, because it's going to get to a point, because Scripture talk about, being subject unto the higher powers, but this is that decree that we ain't going to agree with, man. We're going to disobey this decree. Because this devil, being a kind of hunter he is going to use pastors and preachers to, hey, you need to follow the government. That's gonna be one of those scriptures to be subject unto the higher powers. But we're not gonna obey this decree. As a matter of fact, let me jump down. Yep, this is it. This is Daniel 3 and 12. It said, then certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, these men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Yeah, because he's crossing the line. Because now you set forth a decree to follow another god, which is him, Esau. When you taking that chip, you said Esau is your god. Now that's that's drawing a line in the sand. But is we coming to that point where this devil is about to bring forth a decree, the mandating of that chip. And then we'll see if Christianity can get you groceries. Oh, that chip will, man. Reality is going to set in. That's why we hope the Lord keep us. Because that's that hour of temptation, is going to be playing out his height when that thing is mandated, and being cut off from the system. So the Lord is going to provide. So, matter of fact, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I just hope this edifying, like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Ruach Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone. Shalom to the elect that teaches word on true faith and sincerity. Shalom.